Hey, I am back. Wow, it's been a bit of a long time. Only because I was waiting on parts and then I had other situations come up with the other cars. So it's been a doozy of a time. Um, so just to explain just a little bit, the truck I took up to Pennsylvania, living in Virginia, like a 6 hour drive up there. And then when I got back, it decided to pop a check engine code. I checked it, and it was the back pressure or exhaust back pressure sensor. So cleared the code, it went away, and it seemed to have driven fine. But then a couple days after the short block for the Subaru arrived, the Honda decided to spring a major oil leak. So that went from being the daily to being in the garage, and I had to daily drive this freaking behemoth for a couple of days. And thankfully, the exhaust back pressure sensor wasn't an issue throughout that whole time, but I bought a new one just in case. The truck has 220,000 miles on it. I bought it with 140, and through my research, I guess that sensor gives out at about approximately 80 to 100,000 miles. And so, I mean, it was in due time. So, bought that part. It'll be going in later, but I had to fix this at the oil leak on that. Um, Essentially, what that was, I fixed it before, but I used gasket maker in places I probably shouldn't have, such as the dips on the front and the rear of the oil pan. And the Felpro gaskets that I've been using are supposed to go dry. There's not supposed to be anything on them except for the parts where there's like meeting surfaces that are stepped on the engine and the front and the back parts. So um, I think the gasket maker actually created a little bit of gap for oil to drip out of. Ended up replacing that or getting a new gasket, cleaning it up and all that, and now the Honda seems to be back in working order. I've been driving that around for about 180 miles now, and it seems to be working perfectly fine. But to get to the main point of the whole video. So in my last video, I forget what the update was, but I did mention, and I remember mentioning that I was going to give an update when I got all the parts and I was ready to put this thing back together. So here we go. Ultimately, as I stated before, I wanted to do this as cheaply as I could without downgrading too much, if anything at all. So through some research and blah blah blah. There's no through all of this, just as a caveat, there is no big time scientific or philosophical reason why I chose anything. It was based off of some advice that I was given and me just trying to be as affordable as possible. But like I said, and repeating myself, not downgrading too much, if any. So what I ended up doing, and I think the only part that I really downgraded on was the heads themselves. So the heads that came off of it, this being one, I just kept it as a memoir because I want to remember how much of an idiot I was and kept driving on that. But the head studs still seem to be pretty good, so that's pretty awesome. Anyway, um, I thought the heads were like the only part that I really skimped on, and I didn't really even do that. So I ended up finding a company out of Florida, heavy duty parts company slash Clearwater Heads. The boxes are back there. They say Clearwater Heads, but the company that did the work is Heavy Duty Parts Co. So I bought their castings because that's what I needed. But I also sent it. I sent the castings in fully assembled with the valves, springs, retainers, cams, the whole lot. And they were to inspect them, inspect all the parts, reuse what could be used, and fill in the gap where the gaps needed to be filled with new parts or refurbished parts, I should say. That's how they keep their prices so low. So ended up getting the car or the heads back, and gosh dang, look at that, no more carbon on the valves. So I don't know whether the valves are new and they got cleaned up, or no, I should say I don't know whether they're cleaned up or if they're new, but either way, they're not caked in carbon anymore, and that's a pretty cool thing. kept the valve springs retainers and the cams. So the cams are still S2s. The only thing that isn't the same about these heads, which is a big deal actually, is the fact that they are not port and polished. So these are stock castings, so they're going to have the roughness inside. So, you know, airflow is not going to be all that great, but that's fine. I'm not trying to push mega power like I foolishly kind of did last time. And even then, like the car was built last time for drag racing, which ended up changing. I don't need a million horsepower to go on VIR. At this point, after having as much power as I did, I'd rather focus more on my driver's skill than, you know, being able to slam the pedal to the floor and going as fast as I can on the straights. Corners matter more. So anyway, that's the deal with the heads. And then next, I'm going to talk everything except for, or the engine, the short block's going to be last, just as a teaser. For the head studs, those were kind of my iffy thing as well, because I knew I wasn't going to push much power at first anyway. So I was going to buy just the standard ARP head studs, but ultimately I realized, you know, should the engine stay together, I'm going to try to have two tunes on this. I'm going to have one for the track, which is going to be low powered, and then just for fun on the street, I'm going to up the power and you know, have a street tune as well as a track tune. And because of that, I didn't want to downgrade the head studs, but I also wanted more clamping power, some more tensile strength, all that jazz. So I decided to stick with the ARP 625 custom age head studs. That's really the biggest philosophical freaking in-depth thought I had on parts. Next, I'm going to talk about the gaskets. So on the previous build, I had Cosworth gaskets, and then this time I wasn't really sure what I wanted. All I knew was I wanted something that had a coating on it, which happens to be pretty much everything except for factory gaskets. So that's that. But because I ordered the engine through Outfront, plug for their little cool thing right there. Hopefully you can see it. But because I bought the short block through them, I decided to also buy the gaskets through them. So I got some JE Pro Seals. I know JE Pro Seal also has a pretty big reputation in the game. It's been a while since I've been in the game, so I'm not sure what all the craziness is anymore. Obviously, I know IAG offers all their Firelock stuff, but I don't have IAG Firelock compatible parts, so it's not really a thing for me, and that's extra machining. Next would be, even though they're still wrapped up, these are the phenolic spacers. The only reason I bought these was because I had them on the previous build as well, so I decided to get a new set of these because I'm not going to reuse, I wasn't going to reuse those, plus I mangled up the gaskets just a little bit. So these are just, they go between the TGV, the TGV housing and the block, the heads themselves. So creates a little bit of separation just to give a little bit more of a possible cooling effect, is what they say. Again, I just go off of some descriptions and all that stuff. And I had them before, so I was like, I'm not gonna not have those this time. When it comes to seals and such, these are all factory seals. They just all came from Company 23. The only one that I'm not going to need anymore is the rear main seal. Lucky me, because look at that. The short block came with the rear main seal and both the other covers right there. So I did not realize that that was a thing, and so that was that. The one thing, the first Company 23 thing I'm going to talk about are the half moon seals. So I have the version 1 IAG ones on the previous heads. Now I might be stupid, however, obviously these are held in by RTV, and I could not for the life of me figure out a way to unplug them or get them off of the head. I'm sure there's probably a way. I just didn't care to deal with it. It's $50, it's whatever, that's like nothing compared to everything else that I bought. But because I want to possibly reuse some stuff in the future, and Company 23 is very innovative in their stuff, I decided to go with the Company 23 Half Moon seals. So the cool thing about these is that, I mean, obviously you could put them in either way. It doesn't really matter. But if you put them in the way I'm pretty sure they're intended to go, which is like this, they've got the hex bit part right there, so you can twist it off. I'm sure there's got to be heat applied or something, but regardless, if I need to take them out to put them in another head casting, I have the ability to do so. Next up is going to be the rear main seal installer. Don't have to use that, obviously. This is the cam lock tool. So, trying to think. Cam lock tool. I also, just to go off on that, so I was going to buy the FU bolts as well, which are, if you don't know, Subaru has the hex bit bolts for the cams. So right in there, there's a hex bolt. They're in the trailer, so I'm not going to go get those out. But the FU bolts are supposed to give a 17 mil bolt head to make it easier to, grip onto them and not slip and, strip out the bolt. But because of the cam seal or the cam lock tool and just the ability to, have ease of use and I feel like they'd be more available, I decided to go with the factory hex bolts. So that's what I've got, and they're compatible with the cam lock tool. With the cam lock tool, so I can kind of like doubly lock the engine up so there's no turning. I also bought the flywheel locker because I just have, excuse me, I just have like the biggest fear of timing on any engine. Even the Honda, it scared me, and that's just one cam gear and the freaking the crank gear. But for some reason, I was scared to death of it. So just as an added security thing, I decided to buy the flywheel locker, and hopefully you can see the picture pretty well. But there's a bowl hole there, and there's a bowl hole there, and then there's teeth in the center. So what those do is bolts right there, and then the teeth go into the flywheel. So that plus the cam lock tool should make it pretty darn easy to get the timing set. And I'm also going to be using the flywheel locker to aid in torquing down the flywheel and the pressure plate. Next is going to be the oil pump seal installer as well as the cam seal installer. So I bought these just because, again, just another fear of mine, going too far in or not far enough in. I just want to make sure I get the seals stalled correctly. And horrible example because the oil pump's not on here yet, and neither are the cams. So, well, the cams are on, but the seals are not ready to go in. But either way, I just wanted to make sure that when installing those, I had no mishaps. As far as they're supposed to be is where they go. So the tools make it so that all you have to do is bottom the tool out and the seal is installed. The seal is as deep as it needs to go, and that is that. So that is the reason behind all those. Trying to think if I forgot anything. Timing kit is just the standard timing kit from Company 23, so nothing special here. Although in the future I do want to upgrade the tensioner pulley to the IAG tensioner pulley, just so that I have the extra assurance. There's no jumbling around and it's not losing tension and all that fun stuff. So now for the big one, the short block. So sticking with the theme of affordability, but also just trying things out. So as you'll notice, this, well, hopefully you can notice it, maybe, I don't know. I don't have a picture of or a video of a set of brand new case halves, but this block is made from seasoned case halves, which saves a little bit of money. I think it was about $600 saved compared to their new case halves engine options. So did that, came with everything else. Plus the new one, or the seasoned ones come with these cool little like brass colored bolts, which is kind of cool. Anyway, everything in here is brand new. crank rods, obviously, and the pistons. And then obviously I've got it's the V3, so it's got their standard closed deck inserts, which are pretty freaking awesome. We'll see how those stand up. They're not as deep as their V4 and others for a little bit more power, but I'm going for 500 max on track, and so these should withstand plenty. Now the thing is with this is I was trying. There's two options for the V3. There's the standard rod length, and then there's the +2 mm rod length. And so I called them up and I asked which one they would recommend. And for my purposes, because the car will be living at high RPM, like basically every time it's on track, I guess I haven't done the research. I'm just going off of what they told me. And it was like a $50 difference. So it's not like they were getting a massive amount of money out of me for steering me towards this engine, or short block, I should say. But apparently the long rod is better for higher RPM and all that jazz. So living at 7,000 to 8,000 RPM will be much easier and safer on the longer rods than the standard length rods. So that's that. Now the ultimate goal, like I said at the beginning of the video, is to do 400, 450 to the wheel for the track, and then however much I want to make for the street. Probably not that much more. Really, the heads are going to be the bottleneck. Everything else, ID 2000s, all that jazz, all of it's right. All right, so this is going to be just a little bit of a fast forward kind of interlude before the actual end of the video, because I forgot to mention one of the parts that I bought. And funny enough, I just tried to take it out of the head, and just to say how well it seals, it won't come out. So all I did was took out the bolt that clamps it to the head, and then rotated it a little bit, because also it's on the face of it's on the deck of the head, so that the head doesn't get scratched at all. But here's the part that I got right here. You can't see the threaded part because obviously there's a 10AN fitting on it, and I went red and blue just because America. They had red, white, and blue, I would have gone with that, but that's as close as I can get. But this is the part, and I will post a picture of it. But all right, sorry for the cut, but it's because I forgot the part that I wanted to compare it to. So the reason why I went with this is because it's a double O-ring push-in fitting, and with the oil there, kind of, I guess, creates a little bit of suction because it won't come out, like I said. But I also chose that because the stock piece, which is this, is a press-in fitting, so it would go in like this to the head, and it would push into it, and then there you go, you just fit a hose over it and clamp the hose down on the top part right there. However, as you can tell, it's kind of a little bit mangled, and it's also probably a one-time thing, because I did try to push it in there and it just didn't create a seal. Obviously that's not good for creating an oil tight seal, seeing as how that is as embarrassingly long as it took me to remember it and find the part. It is the oil drain from the turbo back into the head to go into the oil pan. So I've already got a tuner lined up, called them up, asked them if they could do what I need to do, and they said yes. So I probably should get a date scheduled for that, but I'm going to not do that for now. It would be better for me to have a deadline to get the engine ready, but it is what it is. I'm just going to work on this for as long as it takes me to do, and then go there. It's a 5.5 hour drive, so I'll have to make do with what I can and make sure everything is tidied up as it's supposed to be, so that a 5.5 hour drive or 11-hour drive total throughout the day isn't wasted. So that's all I have, everybody. I know it took a while, and I apologize. Lots happening, and yeah, so now we are in full effect, and hopefully this is back on the road here pretty soon. But until my next video, stay driven, and I hope you have a good one.